Good morning.
It's 7:45. We normally start at 7.
That is very accurate.
We are aware that we are 45 minutes later than normal. Why is that, Alex?
It's a late night for both of us.
And the alarm went off, and we stayed asleep.
Yeah, I turned off the alarms, both of them, because you were very asleep.
Well, after many hours of trying to fall asleep, around 2:30, I came out to our living room and started reading. I started reading Matthew commentaries. My thinking was, I'm preaching out of Matthew on Sunday. I might as well get some work done and get my brain thinking in academic ways about this. And commentaries often put me to sleep. And this one didn't. So then I picked up the second one. And at some point I must have fallen asleep because I woke up with the book on my chest. Oh, I snapped the... Okay. Anyway. There we go.
Fire maker's not being very good.
I think I've scratched a lot of it off. It did not help that I snapped the match this time. Oh, it is the 12th. Happy Wednesday.
It is the 11th.
Oh, it is the 11th day of Advent and the 11th of December. Happy Wednesday. It is Wednesday, though.
Yes, happy Wednesday. I was like, don't tell me it's the 12th. I put in the 11th.
It is definitely the 11th. It feels like the 12th.
Yeah. Did you get anything good out of your Matthew commentaries?
I got some interesting things.
Okay.
The idea that, so the passage we're going to be hearing on Sunday is Matthew 2, 1 to, I don't know the exact end right now. I want to say 23. That might be further than we're going. Anyway, we're looking specifically at the wise men following the star, going to King Herod, going to the baby, worshiping baby Jesus, and then continue in a different way when they realize that Herod had nefarious intentions.
Right.
So the first commentary talked mostly about what could the star have been and gave a number of ideas. One that scholars for a while, specifically after it was found, Halley's Comet for a while was considered a possibility. And N.T. Wright was looking at probably not, because it was found between, it would have been seen between 11 and 12 BC. No, 1211, because if you're going down, you're going down. So 11 is closer to 0 then. And then it talked about how, again, we do not know. Some people think it might have been a supernova. And then the other very common idea was that, I forget the astronomical idea, but Saturn and Jupiter would have aligned, making them brighter. And Jupiter had symbolic representation of royalty, and Saturn was connected in some thinking symbolically to the Jewish people. And so the two stars overlapping for a period of time, and I forget when it was, but I have in my head 2 BC. This could have been, there was a very prevalent thinking that when significant things happened in Earth, everything in the world and universe were interconnected. So if it happened on Earth, then you could find evidence of that same ripple happening in the heavens. In the same way, if something significant happened in the heavens, you should look to see what transition is happening on, or significant events happening on Earth. And that was a scholarly belief. So it is possible this idea of these two stars converging, that's a good word, could mean that was why they specifically thought it was the sign of the King of the Jews.
Right.
Good theories. Again, we don't know. then the second commentary, which starts with some of the more liberal or non-Christian views of biblical scholarship and then moves in, and talks about how there are many people who think Matthew made everything up. Since his narrative doesn't line up with Luke, Matthew was looking at biblical texts to show how Jesus fit these messianic prophecies.
Right.
And then the commentator went on to say that doesn't make sense for two reasons. First, if some of these details about Jesus's life weren't known, why would anybody accept that they fulfilled a prophecy that they had never heard of?
Right.
And second, some of the prophecies that Matthew made the connection to who Jesus was were not recognized necessarily as, I think I'm understanding that these weren't necessarily messianic prophecies.
Okay.
And I'm not finished that commentary, so he might have said something else very profound, but I fell asleep.
You're still working on it.
I'm still working on it. And I might be misrepresenting this author's position because, again, it was after 3:30 in the morning and I was starting to get sleepy, which was a good thing. The whole point of reading the commentaries was to fall asleep. I have a question.
Excellent.
Okay, so we started some like Christmas decorating. There, actually, we have a second advent calendar that's behind us. And you can't see the numbers, but it goes from like days till Christmas. It's got this. Actually, can you grab it? We will bring it close. Eee. So we put this one up yesterday, and it's got the numbers across here and days till Christmas. And so we were on the 15 days till Christmas now.
You mean 14.
Oh, it is 14. Sorry.
Yeah.
On my angle, it looks like 15, but you were right. That is now lining up and pointing to the 14, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's
Yes.
the 11th spot.
It is.
Yep. So our star is very fitting for today's conversation.
Agreed.
And we have this lovely little wreath pine decoration up. And it has traditional Christmas colors, red and green. So my question is, this one's very small. What would be your secondary choice of Christmassy colors? Red and green are out. What would you choose?
I generally like either a silver or a white.
Silver or white?
Yep.
Yeah. I like silver and blue.
I know that's a very common one. It seems to be when we look at like artificial trees or decorating designs. It seems to be the most common is silver and blue as a backup to red and green. I'm not a big fan of the blue because often I find the blue feels too cold to me.
Okay.
I
think gold would be a perfect one to combat that, but you don't find anything gold pretty.
That's not true. I don't. That's not true.
Okay.
That's not true. I'm not a big fan of overly fake gold.
Which is most golds at Christmas.
But that being said, we have a friend of ours that their tree is a very gold themed decorated tree, and I think it actually, the way it's all put together, looks really, really nice because it blends in and works and it's a cohesive theme.
Not your cup of tea normally, though.
Not my cup of tea normally. And I don't mind gold on a tree. It would not be my first choice, but I don't mind it on a tree for Christmas time.
Which is good because my ornaments, I have a number of these red paper stars that have gold leaf on them.
And I think they look lovely.
And so the theme that brings my wildly tacky tree together is actually these very elegant red and gold stars.
I don't think your tree's tacky.
Good, yay!
I think it's just a explosion of color.
Yep. You know the one that I'm starting to really enjoy and I never liked before is, I think pink and mint green make a very lovely candy type tree display.
Interesting. I would have to see it to be able to give a better idea of how I feel about that.
Okay, so we have white and silver
Yeah.
as an option. We have white and blue as an option, but not your favorite. Gold and red.
Mm-hmm.
I've talked about pink and mint for Christmas kind of thing. Oh, look! OBS has reconnected successfully, which means we're going to have more than one video again today.
Yeah, I was gonna say earlier, it seems like we aren't the only ones who are sleepy. Our internet is as well.
Oh, good. Okay, so that was today's question. Oh, let's open the tea. I almost forgot what we were doing. I'm hoping today is a caffeine tea.
Never want a caffeine tea.
I know. I know. Today's tea is called Noggy and Nice.
Oh, I am not gonna like this one.
It is a caffeinated tea, medium caffeine level. First ingredient, green tea.
I don't want green tea so much.
Okay, so it's a 185 Fahrenheit temperature and only 3 to 4 minutes steeping.
Okay.
Green tea, cinnamon, blackberry leaf, vanilla, sunflower blossom, artificial caramel, cream, coconut, and rum. That's the artificial flavoring. That's it.
Okay. I am not excited.
I am.
I'm not an eggnog fan.
I am.
I know.
And we are not getting connected back to Facebook.
No, we are not. We're gonna have to post the video separately.
I might stay home to do that this morning.
There we go. I got it. I got it a little bit. Can I get the rest
And
of it? Yep.
well, I don't like the song. Now I have the "This is Halloween, this is Halloween," which is amazing that that's stuck in my head when I've never seen the movie. I would like something else in my head as an earworm today.
This is the song that never ends.
It just goes on and on, my friend. Some people started singing it, not knowing what it was.
Pink gloves.
And they'll continue singing it forever just because this is the song that never
I might want
ends.
to just leave the pink gloves on the table from now on. Because it feels like...
It feels like, yeah.
I had it going, and then it felt like it and got worse. Our rubber kitchen gloves.
Rubber kitchen gloves.
There we go.
They solve everything.
Ah, there. Okay, now it should be good.
Okay.
I felt it pop. I don't know what they did in the manufacturing, in the assembly, but there's a stage in the assembly that got done wrong.
It does not smell like eggnog. I think I smell I heard red vanilla, right?
Maybe.
It smells like a Christmas cookie. Okay. Cinnamon, blackberry leaf, vanilla, sunflower blossom, and the artificial flavor is caramel, cream, coconut, rum. It smells like a cookie. Like a sugar cookie.
Yeah, I guess I could give it that.
A very sweet sugar cookie. I hope it's a yummy one.
You're just excited for the caffeine.
I think the caffeine could be very enjoyable this morning. So we had a very snowy weekend and a snowy Monday.
Mm-hmm.
It's green again.
Yes, yesterday was mostly rain, at least in the evening.
And throughout the day, everything kind of melted away.
Yeah, washed away. There's still, if we look out into our little, we're on the end of a cul-de-sac, is that right?
Yep, that's the term.
If we look out into the middle of it, where several random people often park their trucks to be away from the driveways, but still here, there's still a pile of snow. I'd say it's probably about 8 feet long and a foot and a bit high. So there's still some snow, but every single yard is clear.
Today. is 3 passages,
Ooh, 3 passages.
starting in Luke.
That's more than normal. So our first passage is from Luke chapter 2, verses 4 through 7. So Joseph also went up from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea, to Bethlehem, the town of David, because he belonged to the house and line of David. He went there to register with Mary, who was pledged to be married to him and was expecting a child. While they were there, the time came for the baby to be born, and she gave birth to her firstborn, a son. She wrapped him in cloths and placed him in a manger because there was no guest room available for them. Second one is a psalm, Psalm 18, 30 to 31. As for God, his way is perfect. The Lord's word is flawless. He shields all who take refuge in him. For who is God besides the Lord? And who is the rock except our God? Our third passage is from Romans chapter 8, verse 28. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose.
That is one of the most poorly interpreted passages in Scripture. Oh, okay.
Is it now?
Yeah, the way I have heard it explained poorly is that everything in your life is good.
Ah, well, that's not accurate.
And that it's everything's from God because God gives us only good things. And that is not, in my belief, what is being communicated. It's saying that things happen in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And God then can redeem things. It's kind of like an illustration I've seen where, like, so this father and child were talking, and the dad said something about time heal, or like, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And the child's like, no, some things that don't kill you leave you wounded forever. And the dad came back later and it's like, well, I think you might be right. Let's think about that bookshelf where like the particle board shelves all snapped when this happened. They're stronger than ever because they're now filled with wood glue. We repaired them with wood glue and they're stronger than they were when they were just these synthetic boards. The glue repairing them has made them stronger. But it took time for that wood glue to heal. Yeah. And if you had put books back on the bookshelf while the wood glue was still setting, the whole thing, all of the shelves would have collapsed under the weight. So it's not that time heals all wounds. It's that when we heal ourselves, the healing makes us stronger. And if you don't feel like you can hold anything, then the wood glue hasn't set. That's what the dad essentially said to the child. And I think something very similar is happening of a bad thing that's happened in your life is still bad.
Mm-hmm.
But God being God can bring you either through the process of healing, which helps you to be a kinder person, or by healing yourself, you're able to then support somebody else who is going through something equally challenging or the exact same type of situation, and you're able to guide them through it so it is less painful. It's not that the thing was good. It's that God has, again, redeemed, turned the outcome into something that is positive. The situation has always been negative.
Right.
Missing the big one. Today we continue to explore Joseph's journey to Bethlehem. Mary and Joseph couldn't find lodging, so Jesus was born in a place where animals were kept. The people who could have taken this couple into their homes missed the biggest opportunity of their lives. That is the traditional interpretation of there was no room for them. Do you remember the other option for understanding that passage? Speaking of which, that has been more than 3 minutes.
Yep, we're going to pull it now.
And I just know that I don't like strong green tea, so yay. Yes. The most common way of seeing that there was no room in the inn is that they had to sleep out in the barn alone because there was no other place to stay. And there's been many sermons preached about that. I've preached about it in the past based on my understanding at the time. It's what's normally passed on. It's what all of our pageants and Christmas plays communicate. But last year or two Christmases ago, we were doing some research, reading through the case for Christmas, and we learned that understanding might not be as accurate as we think. Do you want to weigh in?
Yes, ish.
Should I read this, finish this, and then we can go back to the conversation?
Yeah.
Couldn't someone less deserving have given up their bedroom for Mary and Joseph for a night? In later years, when Jesus' fame began to spread, did anyone in Bethlehem regret their decision? They could so easily have been a hero in the story. But because of the census, maybe because they felt stressed or busy, they missed out. I ask you, Lord, to help us to be sacrificial and imaginatively hospitable this Christmas, not just in our homes, but in our hearts and our busy schedules. As we think now of people we'll be spending Christmas with, help us to receive unexpected pressures as opportunities to host you, to go the extra mile, to be kind. We thank you, Father, we ask you, Father, to bless those who feel unwelcome in our society this Christmas. People who are new to Canada, refugees, those who are homeless, and those who are in prison. Give grace and joy to those who are ministering to them, and move by your Spirit to show them that the nativity story belongs to them too. Show us if there is a particular people for whom you want us to pray for now. Over this past fall, we've been connecting a lot with international students and a number of families that are new to Canada. And that's really who's on my mind. We have a number of our students who their time in Canada is done and they're going to be traveling back to their home countries over the next 2 weeks. But we have a number of students that might not be directly attending our church, but we've just connected with them. We've shared meals. And I'm just wondering how many, now that so many people get wrapped up in their own individual family activities and traditions, who's going to be lonely? Who's going to be left out? God, just be with those people. And again, open our eyes to see who we can make space for in our Christmas celebrations. I wonder how Joseph felt, how terrible it to have your wife give birth in a barn, in not finding somewhere safe and warm for Mary. I wonder if he felt like he had failed to be a good husband, maybe even failed God, who had charged him with the mighty responsibility of raising this child. Lord, we yield our sense of inadequacy and failure to your bigger and more beautiful plan. Please make all things work together for good this Christmas, in us, and if necessary, in spite of us. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. I'm hoping it is because of how late I was up last night, but I have that, I feel sick sort of, my ears are achy and my throat hurts, and
That's not fun.
I feel sick. I don't like feeling sick.
It's not fun at all.
It smells sweet. I smell the vanilla. I think I smell the caramel.
Interesting. Yeah, in regards to the manger in the barn,
It might not have been a barn.
it might not have been a barn. Now, I had a conversation with a gentleman, a member of our church, who did live in Israel for a while. And when I brought up what my understanding was, he told me I was wrong. So
the one that we got from, okay.
So there's a number of competing there's a number of competing ideas. So the one that we heard, which was investigated by a reporter, right?
Lee Strobel,
Yeah.
author of Christ, Case for Christianity, wrote a book, Case for Christmas. Now, I had heard his theory once or twice before we read the book and from sources before it had been published. And the sum up is Bethlehem would have been too small to have what we think of as an inn or a hotel, the way we think about it. Many homes would be what was considered a four room home, kind of like how we know what's the New England home that has two bedroom at the top. Like there's a specific style, and when you walk into it, you know exactly what the floor plan is.
I don't remember don't remember the term of that.
Because I've seen them in a number of places. Like a Cape Cod, I think is
Right.
the term. When I was a military kid, I could walk into a house, and because I'd been in so many base houses, I knew the floor plan of the house before the family ever showed me where the kid's bedroom was. I knew every room where everything was in the house. There was one time I came fairly late to babysit for this one family. There is, I think it's called a four room house. And the idea was, it was a 2-story building. And often there'd be an extension or a side house that would be the guest room. And that's the important thing, is the understanding is that there was no guest rooms available, which means in a small town of a people that are devoted to God, no one would turn a pregnant woman away. And if we look at Luke's account, they're married now. This town does not know or think of Mary as a scandalous single mother whose boyfriend and her got knocked up before the wedding day. Scandal, scandal, we can't be around them. They just see a husband and wife who are pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
If Joseph had any connections in town or not, nobody would have turned them away. So if we don't have a guest room, you come in and live in our house. And in the bottom area of this house would have been an open space for livestock. Our household animals would be kept in the house, were kept in with the family home of some couple, and look, the baby goes into the place where the little lambs who need extra care are being stored up in the family living area.
Yeah.
So that really just reshapes the whole idea of what the Christmas story would have been like. It's not this child alone shivering in the cold. They would have been in a house with a loving family, probably with a wife, like a married couple. So a woman to go through this with, Mary, probably a midwife, like all the things that we normally think of based on this interpretation of historical information completely rewrites our understanding of the Christmas narrative. Now, you were talking to a good friend in our church who is culturally and ethnically Jewish, grew up in Israel,
Yep.
and often brings in a Jewish perspective to our understanding about texts like this. So what did they tell you?
So they went on a number of different tours with family, with visiting friends, doing the tour of Jerusalem and surrounding areas of like, this is where we think this happened and this is where we think this happened, and this is the ruin of what would have been Bethlehem. And one of the things they had a chance to see was this is a reimagined, like rebuilt structure of what the house that we expect Mary and Joseph would have been at. And what it is it would be a small house, similar to what you're talking about, second floor rooms, main floor area. And then on the side of the house would have is a open structure. I imagine, and he didn't explain it to me this way, but I imagine it. There's some houses, some country houses, especially older country houses, that would have had a.
Okay, so this is not the best way to show pictures, but this would have been, I think, what Alex is talking about.
Yeah.
Where you see the courtyard, you see the stairs up to the flat roof. It actually looks like in this, and I Googled ancient Jewish home. It looks very much like this Scandinavian homes where there's grass. He looks like he's mowing the roof.
Yes.
And then a large entrance.
And then the manger would have been outside of the home in that enclosed area with the animals.
Yeah.
So not in a barn in a separate building, but outside the front or side of the home in an enclosed safe area for the animals for overnight.
4-room house was I'm going to read this one. I googled ancient Jewish houses 4 rooms. The 4-room house is a regular feature of archaeological sites in Israel. The style suddenly appeared early in the Iron Age 1 in central Judean highlands. This has led some scholars to claiming it was the Israelite invasion and hence stands as the marker of the arrival of the Israelites in the land. Do I have a floor plan for it? Nope, but we're going to look at Wiki. Okay, so this one's different. This is different than the one I saw for my class, but there's that open courtyard is the gray thing, and then there's 3 rooms around it. The 4-room was so named because its floor plan was divided into 4 sections, although not all 4 sections are proper rooms. One often was an unroofed courtyard. It is often called a pillared house because 2 or 3 of the pillared ground level rooms were separated by 1 or 2 respectively low wooden pillars. When an upper floor was included, the inhabitants used it as a living quarters, while the ground floor was used as a stable for livestock and for storage. There are multiple versions of this basic 4-room house. Some had a 5, 3, or 2-room layout, and sometimes the rooms were divided by additional wall into smaller areas. So I think either interpretation is accurate in understanding because there is more information, but the idea that they lived in a cave, which is seen in some nativity movies, is a middle age understanding of what a guest house and a rest place would have been.
And the barn is a very modern Western interpretation.
Right. The cave is often the one that I remember being taught that it wouldn't have looked like our barn. This is where guest lounging would have been. And the scholarship that we were looking into a few years ago was essentially, this town wouldn't have had that because of its size. If you were visiting this town, you'd be relying on somebody having a spare space in their 4-room. Anyway, it's an interesting idea. It may, again, it's an understanding of how cultural architecture of the day could have interpreted how we see the story. Because words and concepts change meaning over time.
Mm-hmm.
Even just the fact that, I forget what meek and mild used to mean something slightly different than what it is today. It has a connotation of almost pathetic, helpless, soft in the sense of not capable. Whereas meek and mild had a different connotation when we first started talking about Jesus meek and mild.
Right. Yeah.
Words change.
Words change.
I was just learning how the word preppy by teens in high school now does not mean the thing that it meant when you and I were in high school. The word preppy has changed. So it used to mean it was related to clothes that were preparatory in nature, so private school uniforms. And that's how we thought of it, is preppy clothes looked like a school uniform in schools that didn't have a school uniform. Yeah. Very academic.
Yeah.
But over time, that word has started to be associated with clothing worn by richer students, richer families. So it became associated with brands like Abercrombie and Fitch and some other ones, which then became associated with what clothing white girls wear. Rich white girls, but things that you would see on Gossip Girl and shows like that. And that concept has stuck, the fashion of that has changed to a more pastel pinky thing. So the look that is now called preppy does not look like preparatory school uniforms. I learned that yesterday. I thought it was very neat.
Is it more of like a Barbie inspired look then?
Yeah, very Glenda. If anybody has seen any of the trailers that are everywhere for the new movie based on the movie based on the musical Wicked, Glenda's very pink. That's what preppy kind of represents. Or even like the very popular TV show that came out a couple years ago, last year, that you and I didn't see, but the Wendy Adams has a very similar. One girl's very much in dark clothes, and her roommate is very preppy in pink.
Speaking of movies, yesterday there was a discussion during my French class at work.
About?
About what did we do this weekend, and I mentioned that we went to see 2 movies, and my French teacher mentioned that she had heard from one of her other students that the best way to watch the movie Wicked is in the IMAX in the rumble seats.
Okay.
Apparently it's an amazing experience. Now, I also heard yesterday that the movie Wicked, that is currently out, is 3 hours long and is part 1 of 2.
Yes.
And the second movie is going to be about the same length.
Yeah. So the first movie is Act 1 of the Wicked musical, and it's set up to it's the precursor to the Wizard of Oz movie. So
Yes.
it's Glenda and the Wicked Witch of the, I don't know which Wicked Witch. I'm thinking of I thought it was of the West.
Oh, it might be in the West. The Wicked Witch of the East is the one that has the house dropped on. The Wicked
Yes.
Witch of the West is the one that actually is in the movie.
And it's definitely I haven't seen it, so I can't speak to this anymore, but I understand it's one of those stories of you think this person's the villain. Like there was that trend of you think you know the story, let me tell you the real story type.
Kind of Maleficent.
Yes, from what I understand. And so the 2 most popular songs that I knew, having never seen Wicked, are both in the first act. It's the You're Gonna Be Popular song and Defying Gravity, and both are in the movie. I would not be opposed to seeing.
Well, we are not going to do the IMAX experience this week because we've already gone to the movie twice this week, and the IMAX experience is not cheap. Also, I don't know if we have a Rumble Seat IMAX.
Oh, we might not.
I think the Rumble Seat IMAX we'd have to go to either Toronto or Ottawa for, because the one that we have, because we've done the IMAX.
The VIP up in Ottawa would probably have it.
Yeah, because the IMAX that we went to see. What was it? Was it the new Aquaman movie? I think we saw.
We saw the new Aquaman, and I'm pretty sure we saw Avatar.
Oh, Avatar in IMAX. That's what it was. We saw the Avatar in IMAX.
And I saw the Meg.
I'm pretty sure they were not rumble seats.
I'm pretty sure it took me to see Aquaman 2 in the IMAX this time last year to celebrate school being done.
I don't remember if it was the IMAX or not. I know we saw it, but anyway.
Because you're good to me that way.
But yeah, I think we'd have to. Yeah, I think we'd have to see it at the VIP theater at Lansdowne.
Okay, this is really, really long.
Yes,
we should
it is.
head out, and I'm
agree.
gonna do a new intro at the end of this to edit to put back at the front of this.
Okay, excellent. Well, it has been 40 minutes, and we were late getting started, so we apologize to everyone. And with that, I think we're gonna call it a day.
Yes, we are.
We'll be back tomorrow, hopefully at 7 a.m.
5.